In the 6th year of our marriage, my wife, Clara, who had always maintained an air of calm spirituality and emotional distance, suddenly slapped me across the face. She was convinced that I had arranged for an accident to harm her lover and their illegitimate daughter. At that moment, something inside me broke. I had reached my limit, tired of holding everything in. I decided that if my life was going to be torn down, I would make sure to take everyone else down with me. Though she later attempted to reconcile, the damage was done and there was no possibility of going back. I was feeling completely on edge, trying to soothe my frayed nerves by playing the violin, when Clara burst into the room. She grabbed my shoulder from behind, yanking me around with surprising force. Before I could fully register what was happening, she slapped me hard. The sound cracked through the quiet room, and a sharp, ringing buzz filled my left ear as my cheek began to burn. It was in that instant that years of repressed anger finally erupted. I stood my ground, my posture rigid, and met her furious gaze with a cold intensity I hadn't shown her before. "Did you hire someone to cause Leo and Mia's accident this morning?" she demanded, her voice shaking with rage. "Didn't I make it perfectly clear that you are not to touch them?" Leo was her longtime lover, the center of her world, and Mia was the daughter they had together. It seemed that any time something unfortunate happened to them, I was the default person to blame. Hearing her furious accusations, my jaw tightened. I furrowed my brow, clenched my teeth, and without a second thought, I swung my violin directly at her head. There was no hesitation, no holding back. The instrument connected with a dull thud. Unfortunately, because I had swung with my left hand, the blow wasn't strong enough to do any real damage. "David! Are you insane?" Clara shrieked, staggering backward in shock. Her angry cry echoed off the walls. "I've never been slapped in my entire life," I shot back, my voice low and steady, refusing to yield an inch. "Try that again, and I swear to you I will kill you." Clara stared at me, momentarily speechless. The shock on her face was plain to see. The man who had always quietly accepted his role and swallowed his pride was finally showing a different side. She was seeing the real me for the first time. "Didn't I tell you?" she finally managed to say. "Leo doesn't threaten your position in my life. Why would you go after them?" A bitter, sarcastic laugh escaped me. "Clara, do you honestly believe you're the only woman in the world? Do you think you're some kind of grand prize? Do you really think being married to you is such a wonderful blessing? I couldn't care less." Clara fell silent, unable to find a response to my sharp words. "Leo might want you, but I certainly don't. To me, he and his daughter are nothing. If I had wanted them dead, they would already be gone. Now get out of my house. You are no longer welcome here." Clara stared at me, her face flushed with a mixture of disbelief and outrage. "Don't play the innocent victim, David. I know you too well. You'll do anything for personal gain, even if it means enduring humiliation." "Play innocent? That's ironic coming from you," I retorted. "You're the one who pretends to be so devout while acting like the worst kind of person. You're trying to follow in your father's footsteps, playing house with your lovers and illegitimate children. You're as full of garbage as a trash bag." I knew precisely which buttons to push to hurt her the most. As expected, my words hit their mark. Clara's face burned with fury and embarrassment. She knew her own behavior was indefensible. "You think I'll do anything for my own benefit? Aren't you doing the exact same thing, keeping your lover on the side and engaging in shady business? You're just as low as I am. I bet even the Buddha you pretend to worship is embarrassed for you." "Are you trying to divorce me?" she lashed out, probably thinking the threat would make me back down. I smirked. "Yes, let's do it. It will save your boyfriend the trouble of trying to frame me for things all the time. I'm tired of all your drama." "I will find out if you were behind this, and if you were, I won't let it go," she said. her voice filled with venom before she stormed out of the house, fuming. The housemaid, who had been waiting nearby with a tray of tea, silently placed it on the table and then discreetly left the room. I looked down at my violin, now broken on the floor, and thought about how it was a perfect metaphor for my shattered life. It was time to start fixing things. Before our arranged marriage, I was aware that Clara had someone she considered the love of her life, but he had been in a coma for years. Shortly after his accident, she had embraced a spiritual path, constantly praying for his recovery. However, as the heiress to the Hamilton family fortune, she couldn't realistically remain tied to a man in a coma indefinitely, unless she was willing to renounce her inheritance and everything that came with it. Her family, especially her father John, would never allow that. He would have preferred to see her lover die than to have his daughter give up her position. And so she married into my family, the Martins. The reason she gave was almost laughable. My eyes reminded her of Leo. As for me, I had my own reasons for agreeing to the arrangement. As the eldest grandson of the Martin family, my main purpose was to secure a beneficial marriage that would solidify our family's standing in society. I was meant to be a stepping stone, a tool for the family's advancement, not someone to be genuinely valued. I had younger siblings, and the extended family was a complicated web of my mother's illegitimate children and my uncle's kids. 5 years ago, a car accident had put my own father into a coma. Within 6 months, my mother's lover, Mark, had moved into our home and taken over as the man of the house. If I had refused the marriage to Clara, my siblings and I would have been left to struggle, and there would have been no financial support for my father's extensive medical care. I felt I had no other choice, so I agreed. Aside from being in love with someone else, Clara was a suitable partner. I just never anticipated that in the 3rd year of our marriage, Leo would wake up. His recovery instantly shattered the fragile peace of our union and transformed it into a messy, 3-person drama. The situation became even more unbearable after she announced to everyone that she and Leo had a daughter named Mia. She made no effort to hide Leo, parading him around at all the Hamilton family events, a constant and deliberate taunt that made me a public laughingstock. I had no choice but to endure it. I had considered divorce, but the timing was never right. I wasn't going to let the people who had humiliated me get off so easily. Ring, ring, ring. A sudden phone call broke through my dark thoughts. I turned and picked up my phone. The call was from a staff member at the hospital. I answered without a moment's hesitation. Hello, Liam. What's going on? Hey, David, your dad had an incident. You need to get to the hospital right away. The words hit me like a physical blow. A wave of panic washed over me. I hung up the phone, hurriedly grabbed my keys and wallet, and raced out of the house, speeding toward the hospital. I arrived outside the emergency room while the doctors were still working on him. Liam told me that my father had suddenly stopped breathing, and that Mark had been by his room earlier, saying some cruel and vicious things to him. Mark was my mother's lover, the man she was eager to marry. I was certain this was connected to him. Suddenly, the lights above the emergency room door went off. A doctor emerged, pulling off his surgical mask. "We did everything we could," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "I'm very sorry for your loss. You should begin making the funeral arrangements." My mind went completely blank. It felt as if a vital string inside me had snapped. I think I would have fallen if Liam and another doctor hadn't caught me, holding me up and preventing me from collapsing onto the floor. A single thought echoed in my mind, over and over. I don't have a dad anymore. Liam helped me to a nearby chair and spoke softly. "You need to take care of yourself now, so your dad can rest in peace." He seemed to have experience with these situations. He then asked, Should we inform the rest of the family? Your siblings will probably want to see him one last time, right? In my panicked rush to get to the hospital, I hadn't thought to call anyone else. I had assumed, or perhaps hoped, that it would be like the other times, just a false alarm, and he would be fine. I never expected this. I took several deep, shaky breaths, trying to calm myself enough to handle everything rationally. After a few moments, I regained my composure and made a decision. I called the police and requested an autopsy. I was not going to let whoever was responsible get away unpunished. 2 days later, after the autopsy was completed, my father's body was moved to the funeral home for the service. I contacted my siblings to help with the arrangements and prepare for the funeral. I made a conscious choice not to inform the extended Martin family or the Hamiltons. No one had cared about him when he was alive, so there was no need for them to pretend to care now that he was gone. However, the Martins still showed up at the funeral. The sight of Mark's smug face as he feigned paying his respects made my blood boil. I couldn't hold back my anger any longer. Right there, in front of everyone, I kicked him as hard as I could, sending him sprawling to the floor. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and chaos erupted. "David, are you out of your mind?" After Mark's pained cry, my mother, Susan, turned on me, her face contorted with fury, yelling as if she wanted to tear me apart. Unfazed, I replied coolly, "5 years ago, my dad's car accident was his doing, and you were involved. This time he suddenly passes away? It was him. He gave my dad an injection. Don't think for a second that I don't know." "What nonsense are you talking about?" The crowd immediately started whispering and gossiping as Susan tried to shut me down. With my dad gone, I had nothing left to lose. "Nonsense," I sneered. I pointed directly at Grace, the illegitimate daughter of Susan and Mark. "Then what is her existence? Why are you here with your entire family? Are you putting on a show? Or are you here to mock us?" In wealthy families, illegitimate children were not uncommon, so Susan simply scolded me. "Have you said enough? Do you even realize where you are? This is a funeral." I was perfectly aware it was my dad's funeral. If I didn't fight for justice for him, I didn't deserve to be called his son. My eyes scanned the room, and I noticed Clara standing there, looking at me with a shocked expression. I ignored her and continued with a mocking laugh. "And here's another little secret for you all. She," I gestured toward Grace, "has had a heart transplant. Do you know where that heart came from? A living donor." "No way. Is that true?" "How could they be so monstrous?" The crowd erupted into shocked chatter. Susan moved toward me, her hand raised to slap me, but my sister Beth stepped in between us. She quickly smacked Susan's hand away, her voice a low warning. "Touch my brother. I dare you." Susan, overcome with rage, looked as if she might faint. Beth was fiery and never backed down from a fight. Susan knew she had no real advantage here. "Take your adulterer and your bastard child and leave," Beth said, her voice sharp and clear. "Don't contaminate my dad's funeral, otherwise I will personally throw you out." Her fists were clenched tightly, a clear warning. Susan paused, realizing she couldn't win this fight or maintain any pretense of family harmony. "I'm hurt, Susan," Mark moaned from the floor, clutching his ankle and back, trying to gain sympathy from the crowd by pretending he was seriously injured. Not wanting any more of their secrets exposed, Susan helped him to his feet and left, taking what little dignity they had left with them. Grace and her brother Adam followed, glaring at me with hatred before they departed. "Why didn't you call me?" After the funeral service had returned to some semblance of order, Clara came to stand beside me, clutching her prayer beads. "You're a daughter-in-law in name only, and soon you won't even be that." "It wasn't necessary," I replied nonchalantly, my eyes still fixed on my dad's memorial photograph. Clara was so angry she couldn't speak, just glared at me. but she managed to control herself in front of everyone. The funeral concluded quickly, and my dad's body was taken to the crematorium. While we were waiting for the ashes, a video of the scuffle at the funeral went viral online. I had arranged for that to happen. It was all part of my plan to tarnish the Martins' reputation and make them face the consequences. Alongside the video, I released my dad's autopsy report and the original accident report, which included evidence of Mark hiring a hitman. I even included details about how Grace had received her heart transplant. I wanted the public to be the judge and to completely destroy the Martin family name. I owned an IT company that I had kept quiet for years, preparing for a moment just like this. By the time Susan realized she needed to do damage control, it was too late. The story had already exploded online, and there was no way to contain it. "Bro, do we not have a home anymore?" my brother William asked, looking lost and uncertain. I tore my eyes away from my phone screen and said firmly, "No, as long as I'm here, you have a home." "Dad's gone now. Are you going to get a divorce?" he asked. "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "Doesn't it bother you that Leo picks on you all the time?" No way am I going to let them get away with it so easily. "You're not going to get yourself into serious trouble, are you?" William asked, his voice full of concern. "I have it under control," I assured him. He seemed to relax a little after that. Once we received the ashes, the three of us siblings went to my villa with the plan of choosing a suitable day for the burial. As soon as we arrived and stepped inside, the housekeeper informed us, "Clara and her father are here." After Clara had stormed out of the funeral home, I had no idea what they could possibly want to talk about now. "This kind of stuff shouldn't be brought into the house. It's bad luck. Don't you have any sense? You can leave it at the funeral home," John Hamilton grumbled, his face scrunching up in disgust as he saw my sister holding the urn and my brother carrying the memorial photo. I shot back, completely unbothered. "This is my house. Even if I decide to turn it into a memorial hall, it's none of your business." Surprised by my defiant response, John grew angry. "How can you speak to me like that? I'm just trying to be helpful. But if you can't appreciate it, there's no need to be so rude." Clara sat composed on the couch, her legs crossed, idly playing with her prayer beads, saying nothing. "If you have something you need to say, then say it. If not, you can leave. I don't have time to entertain you," I said coldly, essentially telling them to get out. John became even more agitated. "You didn't even tell the Hamiltons about the funeral. What were you trying to do, embarrass us? Let people make fun of our family?" "The Hamiltons have done plenty to embarrass themselves. One more incident won't make a difference, especially since I'll be divorcing your daughter soon," I replied as I began to put things away, wiping down the TV stand to make a place for my sister to set down the urn. "What? You're getting a divorce?" John asked, clearly shocked. I turned to face Clara, who was sitting across from me. "Let's set a time to draft the divorce agreement and get this over with." "I understand you're upset right now with your father gone, but getting a divorce isn't the right way to handle your grief," Clara replied, her calm voice laced with a warning. "Exactly. There's no need to rush into a divorce," John chimed in, obviously prioritizing his family's interests. "I'm decided on this. I'm simply informing you of my decision. I'm not playing hard to get or being dramatic. If you don't agree, I'll file for divorce myself. Don't blame me for the fallout later." Clara remained calm, almost smug. "Is this about Leo and Mia? I've told you before, they don't affect your status." "Ha, is that right?" I chuckled coldly. "That's funny, because I still remember you storming in here just the other day and slapping me across the face." "What the hell? You hit my brother?" Beth shot up from her seat, looking ready to fight, but William held her back. "Claiming to be all about Buddhism? What a joke," Beth spat. "What kind of person hits their husband?" "Watch your mouth, that's out of line," John scolded. Beth was even angrier now. "You want me to be polite? Then teach your daughter some manners. They say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Parading around with her lover and their love child, and you won't divorce her? Do you think my brother is some kind of pushover? Such garbage. Always pretending to be so righteous, clutching those prayer beads. Doesn't it bother her?" Stung by Beth's words, Clara turned to me, her voice angry. "I have never hidden Leo's existence, so why are you making such a big deal about it now?" "True, you weren't hiding him, but I never thought you would stoop so low. You've become just like your father. I hate lovers and illegitimate children who flaunt their existence in front of the legal spouse. My dad is gone now, so I am done tolerating this. Do you understand?" I didn't hold back, aiming my words where I knew they would hurt the most. Clara stood up, furious, her voice filled with spite. "You want a divorce? Forget it. I will only become a widow, never a divorcee." Then she stormed past the coffee table and left, running away as she always did when she couldn't handle the truth. She never changed, never admitted she was wrong, always just did whatever she wanted. Even as she claimed to follow a path of peace, she wanted to have everything. A husband who was a good social match and a lover who was gentle and talented. She wanted it all. Seeing the situation unravel, John turned pale. He asked, "So, did you make those videos that are online? Are you trying to ruin the Martins?" I didn't want to answer him directly. I said coldly, "That doesn't seem to be any of your concern. You should probably worry about yourself." John seemed to understand something from my tone, because he got up and left without asking any more questions. "What kind of people are these? Just trash." Beth couldn't help but complain after they were gone. "All right, let's go eat," I said, feeling exhausted and too hungry to think anymore. "Don't we need to make offerings and burn incense first?" William suddenly reminded us. We siblings had never done this before, so we didn't really know the customs. But in the end, we laid out offerings in the living room for the ritual before heading out for dinner. Afterward, we washed up and decided to get some rest, ignoring everything else for the time being. The next morning, shares of the Martins Company, M Corp, hit an all-time low. By the afternoon, Mark and Susan were arrested. Everything related to them exploded online, including the dark secrets of Grace's heart transplant. The story remained at the top of the trending topics, infuriating the public and triggering widespread outrage. People were furious about their abuse of privilege and loudly demanded justice. By evening, unable to reach me by phone, the Martin family repeatedly urged me to return to the family home, eventually sending someone to essentially force me to go back. When I walked in, the entire family was present. It looked like a tribunal, ready to accuse me. I had a feeling I might not be walking out of this door easily tonight. Bang! My grandmother, Mrs. Martin, was the first to lash out. She threw a teacup at me, yelling in anger, "You brat! What are you trying to do, ruining the Martin family's reputation? What good does that do you?" I dodged the teacup, unfazed, and replied, "No benefit, really, but I'm avenging my father. Taking a few enemies down with me seems fair, don't you think?" Everyone was shocked, not expecting someone they had always seen as docile to be so extreme. My aunt, Julie, spoke up. "Even if you want revenge, you didn't have to make it so public, did you? If the Martins fall, your life with the Hamiltons won't be easy either. Take those videos down." "If someone killed your father, could you just let it go?" I retorted bluntly. Their faces turned awkward, and no one had an answer. "If the Martin family doesn't fall, I won't get my revenge. You would all protect Susan and Mark, and even Grace, using your wealth and power as a weapon against the weak, like the young man whose heart was taken. Do you know why he was unexpectedly hit by a car after work, and then had his heart removed while he was still alive? It isn't fair, is it?" Mrs. Martin looked pained, clutching her chest as if she couldn't accept it. I continued, "Those who do evil will eventually be punished. You two failed to raise your children properly and indirectly caused my father's death. It's only right that you face the consequences, I just exposed the truth and let society judge the wicked. What's wrong with that? The Martins' fates are all tied together. In loss or gain, we stand together. What's wrong with that? My uncle scolded, as his own interests were now directly affected. Really? No fault of your own? I shot back. You've tormented my father enough, never allowing him or us to join family meals. Speaking of which, I have plenty of dirt on you too. Push me, and I'll ruin your name and make you unfit for high society. Are you crazy? My uncle was suddenly panicked. My grandfather, Mr. Martin, who was usually harsh and abrasive, stared at me with a deathly glare, but said nothing. With a sneer, I asked him, "You want to kill me, don't you? Well, if I die, your fate will be even worse." Mr. Martin gritted his teeth. "I never imagined you'd be such an ungrateful wretch with no sense of family loyalty." He always spoke in a condescending tone, acting as if his authority was absolute. I had feared him as a child, but not anymore. "This rotten family is a disease," I replied. "Why should I be loyal to it?" "Grandma! Grandma!" Mrs. Martin suddenly collapsed, sending the room into chaos. My cousin quickly carried her out to take her to the hospital, with others rushing to follow. Aunt Julie glared at me resentfully, but said nothing before leaving with the rest. I knew that if they wanted to take me down or cut off my financial support to force me to submit, they could. But I was prepared. I never expected to come out of this untouched. A few days later, Grace died. She was stabbed by the mother of the boy whose heart she had received. That mother had been living in a daze ever since her son's unexpected death. Now that she knew the truth, she had taken her revenge, saying it finally settled her heart. Furthermore, everyone linked to that illegal surgery, from the hospital administrators to the doctors, was put under investigation. No one escaped blame. In an attempt to ruin me and my reputation, my cousin Adam spread lies online, twisting the facts to say that his parents were true lovers who had been torn apart by my father's schemes. He also falsely claimed that I had followed in my father's footsteps, rising through an affair. He alleged that 7 years ago, in order to win over Clara, I orchestrated the car accident that left her boyfriend in a vegetative state, giving me the chance to marry her. When a video detailing these rumors hit the trending list and public opinion turned against me, Leo used a friend's social media account to add fuel to the fire. He claimed that everything Adam said was true, and that I had indeed caused the accident. He said he was lucky to have survived, but ended up in a coma for over 5 years. He even shared photos from the accident and of his medical treatments to make his story seem legitimate. Because of this, I became the target of an online witch hunt. My personal information was leaked, and I was bombarded with vile insults on my social media accounts. My phone was constantly pinging with the nastiest messages imaginable. Once the rumor had spread widely enough, I went to the police. Then I made sure Adam's own dirty laundry hit the web, including details of how he once drugged and harassed a wealthy woman. As for Leo, I didn't hold back. I released the actual road footage from his accident 7 years ago. The video clearly showed him and Clara arguing inside the car, fighting over the steering wheel, which was what caused the crash. It turned out they were fighting because she had wanted to break up with him. It had nothing to do with me. I also released evidence of Leo's cheating and various affairs, making sure he could never recover his reputation or taunt me again. I went after him hard. Now that my dad was gone, I couldn't care less about my marriage or keeping up appearances with Clara. Unfortunately, Clara has powerful backing from her family. For the sake of the Hamiltons' reputation, the negative buzz around Leo was quickly buried. It didn't lead to any major public outrage, just him losing face locally and becoming something of a laughingstock. I had expected that. Clara and the Hamiltons are obsessed with maintaining their public image. That night, at a private club, I happened to see Clara and her best friend Megan heading toward the balcony, probably for some fresh air. I was about to approach them for a chat when I overheard Megan teasingly ask, "If you like Leo so much and have a kid with him, why don't you just divorce David and marry him?" Clara replied, with her usual indifference, "He's not fit to be a husband. He can't handle my family, and he can't give me the peace I need." It turned out she was actively scheming not to divorce me. How shameless. Megan then asked, "Aren't you scared David might actually fight back one day? People have their limits." "A few fights don't matter, as long as it doesn't cross my line," Clara retorted, unfazed. "But he moved out over a year ago. That's more than just a little fight." "He'll come back when he wants to have children. I'll give him one when he's ready," Clara said calmly. Megan laughed. "You really play on a different level. But seriously, where does he get all this dirt on people? Does he hire private investigators?" Clara sounded a bit down. "I have no idea. He has a digital tech company under his name. He probably gathered all of it for a rainy day." "So he's pretty scary. Can you really handle him?" Megan asked. Clara, puffing on a cigarette, stayed silent. I didn't feel like eavesdropping anymore, and I certainly didn't want to chat. I turned to leave. Just then, I ran into Olivia, who was standing by the door of a private room, looking curious. "Long time no see," I greeted her with a smile. Olivia flashed a bright smile back. "Want to grab a drink?" "Sure," I said. "I was hoping to talk to you anyway." Olivia led me to another empty room, ordered drinks, and asked with a smile, "So, what's on your mind?" I got straight to the point. M-Corp's stock has plummeted, and they're close to being delisted. Some of their major projects have stalled. I was hoping you could seize this opportunity to buy M-Corp, or at least become the major shareholder. What do you think? Olivia leaned back on the sofa, smiling casually. "And what happens after the acquisition?" "I don't have another plan beyond that. I just want you to kick the Martins out of the board, especially my aunt and uncle. I don't want them abusing M-Corp's resources anymore. There are a few projects there that are about to become profitable, so you won't lose out on the deal. The problem is, your grandmother, aunt, and uncle might not want to sell their shares." "I have leverage over my aunt and uncle. I'll give you the information, and they'll sell. As for my grandmother, she's old. She'll weigh the pros and cons. You'll be able to figure it out." "Okay," Olivia agreed with a meaningful smile. Suddenly, she asked bluntly, "When are you planning to get a divorce? Don't tell me you're still going to put up with it." I felt a bit awkward and chuckled dryly. "I want to, but Clara doesn't agree. The Hamiltons don't want the scandal." "Do you need my help?" Olivia asked seriously. A bit puzzled, I asked, "Help me? How?" "Clara would rather be widowed than divorced. Why not just make you the widow?" Olivia chuckled, but her casual tone was almost eerie. I laughed awkwardly. "Going up against the Hamiltons? I wouldn't stand a chance. It's best if she just agrees to the divorce." At that moment, the waiter brought in our drinks and a large fruit platter. With so much on my mind, my nerves were completely frayed. I started drinking with Olivia, and before I knew it, I was getting tipsy. My thoughts became sluggish, and the feelings of sadness and the pain of losing my father suddenly hit me hard. I found myself pouring out all my troubles to Olivia, treating her like a close confidant. After I had gotten everything off my chest, I was ready to head home. Olivia didn't try to stop me. She just listened quietly and then kindly saw me off without saying much. But as luck would have it, just as Olivia was helping me into the car, we ran into someone we knew. They sneakily filmed a misleading video, which was partially pixelated and then uploaded online. The title read, "Heir of M-Corp in Marriage Crisis, Suspected Affair with Mysterious Woman." Since the story involved the hot topics of M-Corp and the Martin family heir, it quickly gained traction. It also dragged Clara and the Hamiltons into the mess, pushing the video to trend rapidly. By the time I woke up from my drunken sleep the next morning, the video was still trending high. Some of Olivia's personal information had been leaked, suggesting a conspiracy, and my phone was filled with missed calls and unread messages. There were missed calls from the Hamiltons' mansion, urging me to come over, likely to scold me and lay down the law. I was sure nothing good would come of it. Clara had also left missed calls and messages demanding, "Why is the video still trending? What are you trying to do, raise hell?" I ignored all of them and didn't reply. I just grabbed the divorce papers I had already prepared and headed over to get Clara to sign them. Since it was a weekend, when I arrived at our marital home, Clara was there, along with Leo and his daughter. As soon as I stepped inside, Mia, who was playing on a toy car, saw me and yelled, "Bad man, he's here!" She dropped her toy, ran to Leo, and hid in his arms as if I were some terrifying monster who had abused her. Clara was on the sofa, watching all of this unfold, but said nothing, just glared at me with a darkened expression. I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. "Is that really your kid? Why does she seem so brainless? Wasn't she just in an accident? How is she completely untouched?" Leo broke in with a snarky tone, playing the victim. "I know you don't like Mia. You find her annoying and wish she'd just vanish. But you don't have to be mean. She's just a child. She doesn't understand anything." I felt a surge of frustration, wanting to smack him. "She doesn't get it? Do you not get it either? Children are a reflection of their parents' upbringing. If you can't teach them properly, don't have them." Leo's eyes welled up with fake tears. "I know I'm not as good as you, even—" "Here we go again." I cut him off. "I'm not here for your drama. Can you please shut up?" I snapped, then handed the divorce papers to Clara. "These are the divorce papers. Sign them." Clara didn't take them. She just scowled. "Are you rushing for a divorce because of Olivia?" "What's it to you?" I shot back, looking down at her. "I'm not divorcing you." "Heh, I guess some people just aren't meant for marriage then. Like you. You're totally undeserving of a partner," I laughed. "Having a marriage certificate to bind a husband who isn't loyal is pointless." Clara's face darkened. "You're not me. How do you know it's pointless?" I glanced mockingly at Leo. "So, we should all just abandon loyalty, throw out personal boundaries, and have an open marriage? Is that it? I'll go find other women, have kids with them. You'd be cool with that?" Clara got furious. "Other than divorcing me, what is it that you want?" "Double standards, huh? You get to play around, but I don't?" I tossed the divorce papers onto the coffee table in front of her. "Fine. Since there's no room for negotiation, I'll see you in court." "David, my patience is limited. Don't push me to act. You won't be able to handle it," Clara warned me fiercely. I snapped back. "My patience has its limits, too. You have a lot more to lose than I do. Go ahead, destroy everything. I'm not afraid." I glanced at Leo and his daughter one last time. Done with the conversation, I headed upstairs to pack my things and leave for good. I hadn't fully moved out before because I was trying to maintain some civility, but now I was going to finish the job. "Clara, why won't you divorce him? Do you love him?" Leo cried out behind me. "You said you'd only ever love me. You're the reason I was in that coma. Don't you owe me and our kid a real family? If you don't divorce him and marry me now, I swear I'll take our daughter and end it all," he sobbed, which made Mia start crying too. But Clara just stood there, silent and unresponsive, looking like she was in a trance. Upstairs, in the bedroom I used to stay in, nothing had changed. There was no dust. The space was still kept clean by the housekeeper. I started packing my belongings. Midway through, Clara appeared, leaning against the closet door. She said calmly, "Let's talk." Her sudden appearance startled me, making me snap. "Talk about what? What's left to say?" She uncharacteristically began to explain. "Leo saved my life once. Years ago, an accident put him in a coma, and it was partly my fault. I feel I have to make it up to him, even if that means having a child, if that's what he wants. I can make them disappear so they never cross your path again. Just don't divorce me. Name your terms." Was she really trying to play the nice card after her tough approach had failed? Did she seriously think I would sacrifice my dignity for some kind of material gain? It was a good thing I never expected true love from this arranged marriage. I had never wanted it to be anything more than a cordial partnership. Otherwise, her behavior would have driven me into a deep depression. I scoffed, my voice full of mockery. You know how people talk about self-cultivation and family harmony? Do you think you're even a decent person? Whether you're repaying a kindness or just dating him, that's your choice. What does it have to do with me? Why did you have to drag me into it? Why should I have to put up with and enable your selfishness? Clara got slightly annoyed. I've already said it won't happen again. I finally lost it and started cursing. You're such a jerk. Don't make me look down on you. You mess around with relationships. You're an incomplete mother. You're barely able to handle this marriage. Yet you think you can live happily ever after with me? Clara was instantly speechless, her face turning red with shame. Before all this, you always favored Leo, always shielded him unconditionally. No matter how he slandered or targeted me, you would clean up his mess. Even when he was spreading lies about me online and ruining my reputation, you defended him. When I fought back, you chose to go against me. I've endured all the humiliation while you all took the spotlight. And now you shamelessly ask me to forgive you and move on with you? How can you have the audacity? Do you take me for some kind of saint who can forgive everything? Clara, acting as if she didn't understand, stubbornly insisted. I'll change. I'll make it up to you. What do you want? Shares in the company? It felt like talking to a brick wall. It was completely pointless. I will never end up like Leo, and I am not getting involved with you ever again. Get out. Don't bother me while I'm packing. Suddenly, Clara got angry and started speaking harshly. Who else could you find that's better than me? Do you really think Olivia will marry you? Is she really better than me? Get out! Can't you understand simple words? While packing, I ran out of patience and threw something from my suitcase in her direction. Clara caught it quickly, her expression complicated, looking at me as if I had wronged her, her eyes filled with resentment. In the end, I ignored her and continued packing my things. She eventually left, realizing that more talk was pointless. A few hours later, I had moved all of my belongings out, leaving nothing behind, not even the plants I had grown in the garden. There was no trace of me left in that house. A week later, Olivia completed the acquisition of most of M Corp's shares, all except for those that Susan still held. So, I visited her in detention to get her to sign the share transfer agreement. Do you hate me that much? As soon as we met, Susan asked, looking completely defeated. I couldn't help but laugh coldly. Shouldn't I? You ruined my dad's life and nearly wrecked mine, along with my siblings' lives. Shouldn't you have to face the consequences? Susan was speechless and quietly sat across from me. I pushed the share transfer agreement in front of her. M Corp has changed hands. You better transfer your shares to us siblings or you'll regret it. Not knowing what had happened, Susan looked shocked. How is that possible? What about your uncle? The truth is, it really has changed hands. I'm not lying to you. Also, your beloved daughter, Grace, is dead, stabbed by the mother of the boy whose heart was stolen. And your beloved son, Adam, is in detention for defamation, with all his misdeeds exposed. His future won't be easy. He might end up dead if someone decides to retaliate. I spoke lightly, but Susan's eyes filled with tears. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't utter a word. After a long silence, she remarked bitterly, I can't believe it. You turned out to be the wolf your dad was holding on a leash. It's insane. Choking up, she suddenly asked, If I sign this, can Adam go free and be sent abroad safely? I felt a sting of bitterness inside, realizing how differently children can be treated. I suppose this is what they call a child prospering because of their mother. All right, I agreed, though I couldn't guarantee his safety once he was abroad. Susan shakily signed and stamped the documents without any hesitation. After double-checking everything, I packed up the agreement to leave. Sorry. As I turned to go, Susan suddenly choked out an apology, my heart filled with mixed emotions, but I still laughed coldly. Even if you apologize, it won't reduce your sentence, so you can save it. I don't believe she truly thinks she was wrong. People like her, even when they are wrong, would never admit it. An abrupt apology like this was probably just for her son's sake, to protect him from revenge. Later, I didn't sell the shares. I split them 3 ways, keeping them between my siblings and me. Olivia didn't mind or insist on a complete acquisition. A month later, as Clara still refused to sign the divorce papers, I filed for divorce. Soon, the court date arrived. The case was clear, my preparation was thorough, and the evidence was compelling, so the divorce was granted in court. Even though Clara still refused to agree, there was no room for negotiation. After that, Olivia moved in next door to me and would occasionally drop by for dinner. Her intention was clear. She wanted to be my girlfriend. Sometimes she would sincerely light incense for my dad, hoping he would approve of her as a daughter-in-law. My siblings even supported her, telling me to start dating her soon, or I'd go crazy. Another month later, Mark's case was closed. He received a death sentence with immediate execution, along with orders for civil compensation for multiple murder charges and the severe impact of his actions. Susan got 20 years in prison and an additional 5 years of political rights deprivation for her multiple crimes, along with related compensation orders. As for Adam, after he was released, he was retaliated against, injured someone during the confrontation, and went back to prison with a 3-year sentence. He didn't even need to be sent abroad. With everything sorted out, my dad was finally laid to rest. My siblings and I picked a good day and time to give him a proper burial. We wanted him to be able to rest in peace, without any lingering concerns. A year later, I married Olivia. Another year later, Olivia gave birth to our lovely daughter, and we named her Chloe. The next time I saw Clara and Leo was at the aquarium. Our child was just over a year old at the time, and we were there with Olivia for a fun day out. We bumped into them unexpectedly, and the situation immediately became a little awkward. "Long time no see. How have you been?" Clara was the first to speak. She looked at me with calm eyes. The blue lights from the massive aquarium tank lit her face, while fish swam silently by the glass behind her, giving her an inexplicable, almost lifeless aura. Leo, holding on to their little girl, looked at me as if I owed him $1 million, his eyes brimming with resentment. I had heard that Clara never married him. Shortly after our divorce, she had lost her position as an heir to the Hamilton fortune. She spent over a year living in a temple before coming back. Now, she had started her own business, and it was apparently doing well. "Everything's good. How about you?" I responded politely. "I'm doing okay," Clara replied with a forced smile, her gaze dropping to my daughter. "Is she your daughter? She's adorable." Upon hearing the compliment, Mia suddenly retorted, "She's ugly, not cute." Olivia, holding our daughter, couldn't help but snap back, "Little girl, you should watch your mouth or you'll get a sore on your tongue." Our daughter means the world to her. If it had been an adult who said that, Olivia probably would have slapped them. Mia quickly hid behind Leo, too intimidated to continue her rude remarks. "Sorry, she's been spoiled," Clara said, looking genuinely apologetic. "She tends to speak without thinking." You can tell a child's nature when they're 3, and their character when they're 7. You should watch out, or life will teach her a harsh lesson, Olivia replied sharply, grabbing my arm to leave, clearly not wanting to linger. Irene merely stood there awkwardly, saying nothing more. Vincent, on the other hand, couldn't hide his anger. He tapped Mia's forehead hard and scolded, "You're always causing a scene and embarrassing us." Mia started crying loudly, feeling wronged. Clara, however, sharply commanded her, "Stop crying or we'll go home." There was no attempt to calm her down, no patience to gently correct the child's mistakes. "A barren land can't grow roses. It's only a matter of time before everything withers," Olivia remarked as she picked up her pace. "Let's go, don't look back. It's bad luck." She's pretty sensitive about this. If I ever mention Clara, she'll stay mad for half the day and needs to be carefully soothed. "Daddy, big fish, big fish!" Our daughter suddenly pointed at the glass, excitedly yelling, "Mermaid, mermaid!" "Yes, baby, you're so smart. It's a mermaid, but it's played by a person, not a real one," I explained patiently, not caring if she understood. She looked confused, not fully getting it. So I teased her. "Sweetie, should we turn Mommy into a mermaid?" Her eyes lit up, and she asked curiously, "Can we?" "No way. Humans can't turn into mermaids," Olivia answered firmly. Holding our daughter with one arm, she wrapped the other around my neck and leaned in, joking, "With my body and looks, are you really willing to have other people admire me?" I was momentarily speechless and joked, "Narcissist." Olivia was even more amused. "If I've got you head over heels, not knowing day from night, a little narcissism isn't too bad, right?" "You're shameless." Without missing a beat, Olivia kissed my cheek, saying, "I'd be even happier if you said you loved me." I couldn't help but blush and rolled my eyes playfully, not admitting it directly. She just laughed more, as if I'd already confessed. She's really easily pleased, always full of energy. Just a little spark can light up her whole day. Being around her is easy and comfortable. She never gets wrapped up in negative emotions. Most importantly, she's a good, genuine person. She keeps herself above the mess of complicated relationships. She's truly amazing. Marrying her was a choice I've never regretted. Having kids with her? Even less so. Everything happened just right, at the perfect time. Olivia's perspective. The first time I felt butterflies in my stomach was when I saw the groom at Clara Hamilton's wedding. His name was David. He was just like his name suggested, tall and graceful like a poplar tree, reserved with a quiet strength that made you feel for him. It made me want to steal him away, because I immediately thought Clara didn't deserve him. It turned out my intuition was right. Clara wasn't a good person. She was selfish, fake, and greedy. She even accepted her illegitimate daughter into her life and wouldn't leave David alone. She embarrassed him time and time again, and it was only with great restraint that I didn't do something to make her a widow. Eventually, I couldn't hold back any longer and decided I had to win him over. After his father was taken from him, David wanted revenge on the Martins and chose to pursue a divorce. I helped him secretly. I made sure the Martins couldn't support his enemies, and I helped him win the divorce battle so that Clara and the Hamiltons couldn't touch him anymore. I chased him for over 6 months, being as thoughtful and patient as possible, before he finally let go of his doubts and agreed to date me. After another 6 months of effort and care, I finally convinced him to marry me. I knew he was smart. He let himself fall for my tricks on purpose, allowing me to become his wife and build a warm home with him. We had a daughter together, which made me feel the continuity of life deeply and appreciate everything more. Seeing him every night before bed and every morning when I wake up fills me with energy and fulfillment. This is how life should be. Those who love and who are loved deserve complete happiness. Clara's perspective. Habit is a scary thing. It marks your body in a way that's impossible to erase, like my ex-husband, David. The 3 years of respectful and harmonious life I had with him were the most comfortable years of my life. He took care of everything. which made me think he had no temper, that he would never leave me. Even with a lover and an acknowledged illegitimate daughter on the side, I thought he would stay, just like any other wealthy son-in-law, for the sake of maintaining peace in the home. But I was wrong. He had just been hiding his strength to avoid trouble. His father was like a seal on his true nature, and once that seal was broken, there was no going back. Leo was my first love. We had an on and off relationship for years. We were fighting about a breakup when a car accident turned him into a ghost of a person. I felt I owed him, that I needed to make things right, even if it meant claiming a child that was his. But my life shattered and became a complete mess that I couldn't escape. They say that betraying a spouse blocks one's wealth. When I learned that David had remarried, I felt like life was pointless. Seeing his new daughter and his joyful smile, his words echoed in my ears. "You're such a terrible person." Yes, I am a terrible person. I've become the kind of woman I despise. I've lost my spouse, my child, and my father. I started relationships and then broke them. I am completely undeserving of being human.
Howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. How is everybody doing? I know I streamed earlier, but I wanted to fuck around. I just want to do hood rat shit with my friends. But no, I thought I would hop on here and try and do some flying. But first I'm gonna try it controller. I was watching local do